Lyra screamed as plasma fire ripped through the air. Mason dove aside, rolling to grab a fallen rifle. He fired back, striking the commander's shoulder, but the shot barely dented the armor. The giant stepped forward, raising his blade. "You think your fragile body can defy an empire?" Mason smirked, even bleeding. "Watch me." Then something happened. Lyra's visor glowed with blinding intensity. The air trembled as if reality itself bent around her. The connection between them, between human and alien, deepened. She could feel his heartbeat, his pain, his fire. And through that link, she drew strength. Energy surged from her body, channeling through Mason like living light. His rifle ignited with crackling plasma that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Together, they fired one soul, two bodies, and the blast tore through Voron's armor, shattering it into molten shards. The commander fell to his knees, eyes wide. Impossible. Mason stood over him, breathing hard. "That's humanity for you." Voron collapsed, the light fading from his armor. Silence filled the hangar. Lyra dropped to her knees, trembling. Mason caught her before she hit the ground. "You okay?" he asked softly. Her voice was faint. "The link. It's too strong. It's changing me." He held her tighter. "We'll figure it out." She looked up at him, eyes glowing with violet fire. "Mason, my father will come next." He met her gaze. "Then we'll be ready." Outside, lightning split the alien sky. The Emperor's citadel glowed brighter than ever, its shadow stretching across the desert. And within that darkness, something ancient stirred, aware that its blind daughter had seen the truth, and that a human had dared to give her light. The war for the soul of Irelia had begun. The desert stretched to infinity, a sea of red glass dunes whispering beneath the alien sun. Each grain shimmered with residual energy from wars long past, the kind that scorched planets and melted histories into silence. Mason and Lyra trudged onward, their silhouettes long shadows across the dying world. The sand glowed faintly where their boots touched, as if the planet remembered every step of its fugitives. They had escaped the city, the Empire's soldiers, and the commander who'd sworn to take her alive, but only barely. Mason's left arm was wrapped in a torn piece of his jacket, blood seeping through. The plasma burn stung, but he didn't care. All that mattered was the girl walking beside him. Lyra's visor shimmered under the sunlight, filtering data invisible to human eyes, residual energy fields, motion signatures, the faint pulse of hidden machines buried under the dunes. But there was something else. Two whispers in her mind. "The desert is speaking," she said softly. Mason gave her a tired smile. "Remind me to bring a translator next time." "It's not a language of words," she replied, her expression distant. "It's memory. The ground remembers the war, the humans who came before. They fought here." He stopped. "Humans fought on this planet?" "Yes," she said. "Before peace. Before I was born. My father used your species to test his weapons. He erased it from the records." Mason's jaw tightened. So the Emperor's peace treaty was built on graves. That night, they camped in the remains of an old human ship half buried in sand, its hull scorched but still humming with faint power. Mason managed to coax life from one of its generators, filling the chamber with a dim blue light. Lyra sat cross-legged, the glow from her visor reflecting in his eyes. "You shouldn't have stayed with me," she murmured. "They'll never stop hunting us." Mason leaned back against a rusted console. "And leave you to face them alone? Not my style." Her lips curved slightly. "Humans are strange." "Yeah, we get that a lot." Silence lingered, soft, almost comfortable. Then Lyra reached out, her fingers brushing his. "When you built the visor, did you know what it would do?" "I just wanted to help you see again," Mason said quietly. "Didn't expect it to link us like this." She nodded slowly. "Our minds are tethered. When you think, I feel it. When I reach for the world, I feel you guiding me." He hesitated, then met her gaze. "Then maybe that's why it works. Maybe we were supposed to find each other." Her eyes glowed faintly. "You believe in destiny?" He chuckled. "No, but I believe in bad odds and beating them anyway." A sudden tremor shook the ground. Sand cascaded from the ceiling. Mason grabbed his rifle and looked toward the ship's entrance. "What now?" Lyra's visor flared. "Not soldiers. Something worse." The dune outside erupted as a massive construct burst from the earth, a metal serpent, hundreds of meters long, its scales gleaming like molten armor. It was one of the Empire's sentinels, ancient war machines buried after the rebellion, now awakened by the Emperor's will. "Mason," Lyra cried as the serpent reared back, its mouth glowing with plasma. He dove aside just as a beam tore through the wreckage, vaporizing metal. "Run," he shouted, grabbing her hand. They bolted into the dunes, the sentinel's coils churning up waves of molten sand behind them. Mason fired bursts at its sensors, but the bolts ricocheted harmlessly. Then Lyra stopped. Her visor glowed brighter, too bright to look at. "Keep running," Mason yelled. She didn't move. Instead, she raised her hands, palms out. The air vibrated, the connection between them flaring open like a live wire. Mason froze. He could feel her fear, her resolve, her love, pouring through the link like an electric storm. The serpent lunged. Lyra screamed and unleashed a psychic blast that tore across the desert like lightning. The creature convulsed, metal warping, circuits melting from within. When the light faded, the sentinel lay still, half buried in glass, steam rising from its corpse. Lyra collapsed to her knees, trembling. Mason ran to her, catching her before she hit the ground. "You can't keep doing that," he said, breathless. "It's killing you." She looked up, tears glistening beneath her visor. "It's not power meant for mortals. It was his, my father's. He built the network that blinds us all. I'm tied to it now." Mason held her close. "Then we cut the cord." Her voice broke. "That means going to him." "I figured," Mason said grimly. "You said he's in that floating fortress, so that's where we're going." Lyra's eyes widened. "You'd walk into the Emperor's citadel." He smiled faintly. "I built a visor that let a blind princess see the stars. Breaking into a palace doesn't sound so bad." At dawn, they reached the edge of the desert, and there it was. The Emperor's citadel hovered above the wasteland like a dark sun, its underside lined with massive engines that shimmered with the glow of imprisoned souls. Energy crackled across its hull, feeding into the clouds. A single elevator spire descended from its center, reaching all the way to the planet's surface, guarded by hundreds of drones and armored troopers. Lyra trembled. "There's no way through that." Mason scanned the structure. "Maybe not for most people, but we're not most people, remember." He pointed to the wreckage of the Sentinel. "Its core reactor's still hot. I can reroute its energy into a pulse strong enough to blind their scanners for a few minutes." She looked at him in awe. "You're insane," he grinned. "You're not wrong." As the sun rose over the wasteland, they began their climb toward destiny. One human engineer and a blind alien princess whose heart could shatter machines above them. The Emperor's citadel pulsed with dark energy, awaiting the return of his disobedient daughter, and somewhere deep within its core, an ancient voice whispered, "Let them come. I will show this human what true blindness means." The sky burned with thunder dot from the dunes below. The Emperor's citadel loomed like a storm trapped in steel, its obsidian hull pulsing with veins of energy, the clouds circling it in reverence and fear. Mason adjusted the straps of his suit and checked the charge on his weapon. The heat shimmered around them. Lyra stood beside him, her visor flickering softly, as if in warning. "This is madness," she whispered. "He'll destroy you before you even set foot inside." Mason smiled faintly. "He's welcome to try." Her fingers brushed his wrist, trembling. "You don't have to do this, Mason." "I know," he said softly, "but I want to, because somewhere between fixing your visor and running from your father's army, I stopped seeing you as an assignment." Lyra froze, the hum of the visor catching the emotion she couldn't put into words. He took a breath. "We're finishing this. Together." The plan was reckless and perfect. Using the shattered core of the Sentinel, Mason overloaded its reactor, channeling a massive EMP burst that rippled through the skies. For 3 brief minutes, the Citadel's scanners went blind. They sprinted toward the base of the spire, where a single gravlift pulsed with erratic energy. The soldiers above didn't even see them until it was too late. "Hold on," Mason yelled as the platform shot upward, the desert vanishing beneath them. They ascended into the clouds through mist, thunder, and light. Then the doors opened onto another world. The interior of the Emperor's citadel was like a cathedral, made of nightmares, walls of glass and light, endless corridors humming with psychic energy. Every step echoed. Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. "He's here. I can feel him." "Then let's not keep royalty waiting." They moved through the corridors like ghosts. Mason hacked security panels, rerouted drones, and used the visor's link to sense movement before it happened. Lyra's power was growing stronger, but so was the pressure in her mind. "He's pulling at me," she gasped once. "He knows we're here. Then he knows what's coming," Mason said grimly. At last, they reached the throne chamber, a vast dome lined with energy conduits and suspended platforms. At its center sat the Emperor. He was tall, elegant, and terrifying, a being of perfect control wrapped in living armor that shimmered with the same energy as Lyra's visor. His eyes glowed with cold light. "So," the Emperor said, his voice echoing through the hall, "my wayward daughter returns, hand in hand with a creature that defied my law." Mason raised his weapon. "She's not your property." The Emperor rose. "She is my creation, as are you, human." Mason frowned. "What the hell does that mean?" The Emperor smiled thinly. "The visor you built, did you truly believe you invented it? No, human, you simply remembered it. The design was seeded into your species' subconscious long ago, part of my experiment to see if empathy could be weaponized." Lyra's breath caught. "No, that's not true. Your bond with him," the Emperor continued, "was never destiny. It was programming, a test of loyalty, a trick of biology and code." Mason's fists clenched. "You're lying, am I?" The Emperor gestured. "Then look into her visor. See for yourself." Lyra hesitated, then touched the side of the visor. Images flashed before her eyes. Her father overseeing experiments, human scientists under duress, prototypes burning, minds collapsing, and a single surviving design, escaping across galaxies until it reached him. She gasped. Mason, he saw it through the link, and the truth nearly shattered him. But then he did something the Emperor didn't expect. He laughed. "Yeah," he said, shaking his head. "That sounds about right. You may have started it, but you sure as hell didn't finish it." The Emperor frowned. You dare? Yeah, I dare. Because you didn't plan this. Mason turned to Lyra. You didn't plan what we became, what we chose. He reached out his hand. You said it yourself, Lyra. The visor connects us. So let's show him what that means. She hesitated only a moment, then took his hand. The link exploded open like a supernova. Every emotion, every memory, every heartbeat they had ever shared, magnified, merged, unleashed. The Emperor staggered as waves of light burst from their joined hands. The floor cracked, the air shimmered. The visor no longer glowed blue, but gold, burning with a human warmth no machine could mimic. You corrupted my network. The Emperor roared. No, Lyra said, her voice steady now. We purified it. Mason fired his weapon, striking the Emperor's armor. It shattered like glass, and the tyrant screamed, not in pain, but in disbelief. This is impossible. Yeah, Mason said, lowering the smoking rifle. That's what humans are best at. When the light faded, the Emperor was gone. His throne lay cracked in two, the citadel trembling as its systems collapsed. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. Mason caught her, holding her close as alarms blared around them. You did it, he said softly. We did, she whispered. Together, he smiled. Then let's get out of here before this place forgets how to float. They made it to the lift just as the citadel began to descend, crumbling into the storm below. Days later, under the quiet light of a twin sunset, Mason and Lyra stood on a cliff overlooking the desert. The visor, now repaired, reflected the horizon in molten gold. What happens now? She asked quietly. Now, Mason said, smiling. Now we build something better. Lyra turned to him, her expression soft. Together, always. He reached out, removing the visor gently. She blinked as the world came into focus. Not perfect, but real. I can see you, she whispered. Guess I did something right after all. She laughed softly, pressing her forehead to his. You gave me more than sight. Mason, you gave me a reason to believe. He pulled her close, the desert wind swirling around them, warm and alive. Above, the wreckage of the Emperor's citadel glowed faintly, a new star born from the ashes of an empire. And in that moment, as the hearts beat in rhythm beneath alien skies, the universe itself seemed to pause, as if to remember the day a human and an alien girl proved that love, not power, is the brightest light in the dark.